Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I know it's been a little while since I posted a video, but it's been kind of busy on my side. Anyhow, I want to start off the new season by showcasing a couple different teams that you could use to really rank up, and I hope you enjoy it. Now you'll see a couple of these teams that I've used in the past, like my ABB teams, but I'm also going to showcase a couple of different teams that I think would be really good in this meta. The first team I'm going to showcase is a team that I haven't really used until this season. It involves Medicham, which is of course a very high tier Pokemon, but it gets covered by a Greedent as well as a Drapion. Now the reason for this type of backline is because it's really designed to help cover mostly the Psychic types as well as the Ghost types. It also has an okay coverage with things like Drapion as well. Both Drapion and Greedent play really good save swaps, and they can both close very similar things. You would have noticed in this game I brought in my Greedent save swap against their Charmer because I want to kind of save my Drapion to really cover in the back. Now, with Greedent, it can pretty much do a lot of damage in all of its matchups. In this case, I'm going against the Stunfisk. The crunches are really going to add up here, which is why it's really good. We even reached a point where they had to block a Body Slam. Now we have a couple of different options. I could have tried to win swap, but I didn't really feel like I needed to because I thought that my Medicham could really kind of take over from there. And I wanted to save a shield for what might be in the back. I was hoping they would bring in the Whimsicott back so I can Ice Punch it right away, but since they brought in the Sableye, I was a little more concerned. That being said, I knew that my Drapion can handle both the Sableye at that health as well as the Whimsicott. The good thing about this team is that it kind of covers each other really well. Medicham is really good against the fighting types, whereas Green is really good against ghost types and psychic types. I would say the roughest matches would be maybe like an Altaria or a Talonflame, but it still has a lot of good play, even in those cases. The second team, the Charmhold team, in this situation we have a Diggersby in the front and Charmers in the back. Diggersby is meant to cover your poison types and steel types, and Charmer covers the fighters. The strongest part of this team is actually going to be the Granbull. The Granbull can pretty much kill most things in a 2-shield matchup, and you can actually save a lot of that energy to hold on to close combat or crunch. The idea of this team is to really bait out like a poison type, and then finish off that poison type with the Diggersby afterward. If you can get in a position at the end of the game where you have a shield and you can defend your Granbull or Wigglytuff, there's really not a lot of play your opponent will have. Looks like I'm getting a few messages from my sister. Now, one good key highlight with Diggersby, it actually has a lot of really good play against the high meta Pokemon like Trevenant and Stunfisk and even Azumarill because of Earthquake. This next team is actually just a really high meta team. It's literally the top 3 Pokemon inside the meta in Great League according to PvPoke. The reason why you lead with a Trevenant is because if you need to switch out, you can actually get a pretty good revenge kill with a Trevenant with Shadow Claw and really farm some energy. The thing is that because these Pokemon are so highly ranked, even their bad matches aren't that bad. My Trevenant lead went against a Scrafty, which should actually favor Scrafty pretty significantly. When I respond with my Azumarill and they respond with Nidoqueen, Nidoqueen should heavily favor Nidoqueen as well, but because they don't block the Ice Beam, I'm able to completely flip the matchup. My opponent then brings out their Scrafty to just farm down my Azumarill, but because I have Play Rough Pressure, it has to do blocks. Even when Scrafty takes out my Azumarill, I can literally just soak up damage on my Stunfisk and not worry about it. That way my Trevenant can come back in and reverse farm. And not only does this team have really good coverage, it's just so tanky. And that's the thing, there's just so much utility in this team, it's ridiculous. Not only do these 3 Pokemon rank really high on the ladder, they just cover each other so well. If there's a dark type, you can always bring your Stunfisk for that neutral matchup, or you can bring in Azumarill to just really clean up that matchup as well. If they respond to Azumarill with a poison type, you can bring in Stunfisk to farm down. If they bring a fighting type or a ground type against Stunfisk, you can bring in Azumarill. The thing about this thing, it just doesn't have any major core breakers. They just cover each other so well. The fourth team is a classic team from the last season. It's going to be basically any variation of Nidoqueen Double Dark. My personal line, I always used Umbreon and Sableye just because I really like Sableye, and I like the utility of how tanky Umbreon is. That being said, you're going to see a lot of players that prefer like Scrafty or Mandibuzz as a Double Dark team, which is fine. The idea is that basically Nidoqueen gets covered by the dark types against psychic types, and Nidoqueen covers any type of charmers that might respond to a dark Pokemon. The reason why I chose Sableye and Umbreon is because they're both really good save swaps. I feel like Scrafty is a better closer, but overall, these two Pokemon here can pretty much come out in any scenario and be fine. This was one of the strongest teams last season, and I expect that it'll continue to be that way. Even in this matchup with Nidoqueen versus Skarmory, I can still put a lot of pressure on the Skarmory because of how effective those Poison Fangs are and how effective Poison Jab is with Nidoqueen these days. Some of the weak points of this team will of course be like Charm Hole, but of course going against like a Stunfisk lead with an Azkar would be a little difficult as well. That being said, even if you were to go against that type of matchup, there's still a lot of play because Nidoqueen can actually farm down a Azumarill pretty easily. On top of that, both Sableye and Umbreon can be fairly utilized in almost every situation because of Return and Last Resort. I do want to briefly notate that although I use a Last Resort Umbreon, I know the community is coming up. A Psychic Umbreon is actually fine, and I would recommend using Psychic if you can't get a Last Resort. It's fine. The only situation where Last Resort is really better would be if you go against a Mirror Match or another Dark Pokemon. The final team in this showcase is a team that I've used really often. I would call my signature team. It's Skarmory in the front with Shadow Politoed and Shadow Swampert in the back. This team, just like Nidoqueen Double Darks, just has a lot of good synergy with each other because they cover each other's weaknesses. Skarmory can pretty much farm down any grass Pokemon, while a Politoed can take out any fire Pokemon or any rock Pokemon pretty easily. I think that one of the main reasons why this team is so good is because of the Politoed save swap. You have Blizzard to take out any unsuspecting grass Pokemon, but on top of that, the fact that you can really just spam Weather Balls with this Shadow Politoed and have it add up. Ideally, you would probably want to take down shields with Politoed and then finish off the game with Swampert with a shield or two. Shadow Swampert is just so effective in its closing ability because of the ability to get those Hydro Cannons out so quickly and the amount of damage it does. Sludge Wave gives you good coverage against Dragon Pokemon or like an Azumarill or Grass type in the back. The biggest weakness to this team, without saying anything, is going to of course be the Grass Hole team, Bastiodon with double Razor Leafers in the back. This team really can't do much about something like this. That being said, there just aren't a lot of good core breakers against that lineup. And there you go. Those are 5 teams that you could use in the Open Great League with some degree of success. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you like the video, give me a thumbs up.